Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host Jeffrey Lazarus, and you are watching Welcome to Defiance PVP on the Gaming Vector. So on today's episode, we're going to take a look at the player versus player combat in Defiance, the new MMO by Tryon Worlds. Now, as you can see here on our matchmaking menu, we have a few different options. We have competitive, Shadow War, and we also have the co-op missions available. Today we're just going to be looking at the competitive and Shadow War. We're going to look at both of the available maps, the Waterfront 6v6 map and the Observatory 8v8, as well as Shadow War. So from this menu, we will go ahead and queue up for a match. As you can see there, it says status waiting for 3 more players. Now, this is a wonderful thing. Up in the top left, underneath my health bar, it shows the queue. It shows how many players are waiting, and now it gives me a countdown to deployment, so you can queue up for a match, and this is particularly helpful with Shadow War, which is actually a 64-player game mode. You can queue up for a match and then continue along with your questing or doing whatever missions you have to do until it's ready to deploy you to the match, at which point you can decide to deploy, or you can open your quick menu by hitting the right button on your D-pad, and you can choose to go ahead and launch into the match or leave the queue. So here we're going to be taking a look at the Waterfront map. So right here off the bat, you have the ability to change your loadout as you see fit. We're actually going to switch up shields here. And you can use any of the weapons and gear you've picked up as you've been playing through the campaign. You can also change out your perks and your power. And you can press X, spawn in, and we'll take a look at the combat. So right off the bat, if you notice the map in the upper right hand corner, the enemies only show up on your map when they're actually firing. So unlike a game like, say, Halo, where your minimap constantly shows the enemies at all times unless they're crouched or doing something special, this will only show your enemies when they are firing, whether it be at you or at a teammate. As you can see there, you get points for assists, you get points for kills, and I do believe it is first team to earn 25 kills wins. Now, on this Waterfront map, this has a lot of open ground in the center. It's got several of the little container boxes like those that are opened up so you can have some close quarters encounters in there. And it's also got a few high points, such as this edge of the dock right here. There's also a tower, and I believe you can actually get on top of the building as well if you know how to do so. You can also get on top of the various different crates and whatnot, so there's a lot of verticality to these maps. And that's especially nice considering that there's no actual fall damage. So there's not a whole lot of risk with getting up there, aside from the fact that you can be a sitting duck. And also, in getting up on top of some of the larger buildings, you have to climb a ladder, which requires you to put your weapon away. It makes you somewhat of a sitting duck for the enemy team. But now that we're up here, we can try and cover our teammates, we can cloak and do all of the normal things we can do in the regular campaign. As you can also see on the minimap, the little white rectangles, those are ammo caches that are stashed around the map. You do have to hold the button to fill up your ammo, just as you do in the regular campaign. And there we've got an enemy in front of us. Now if you see that little electrical charge that was coming off of him, I believe that is invincibility for when you first spawn back in, so that you don't just get hammered and spawn killed. You get a few seconds where nobody can really touch you. At least that's my belief and my understanding as of right now. There, I got another assist. Teammate coming in and cleaning up that kill, thankfully. Like I say, this map in particular, you've got some close quarters areas, some long sight lines, you've got a couple of buildings, and you've got a lot of verticality involved. So getting up to high points can be very beneficial, especially considering there are perks that you can get that allow you to do more damage when you're on high ground, so on and so forth. And killed again. That was a light machine gun. Say the multiplayer is not exceptionally easy, but there's nothing wrong with that. There is a very good amount of challenge to it and a very good amount of skill. This isn't like, say, your World of Warcraft PvP or anything like that. This is all skill-based. It's all skill shots. Headshots will kill somebody, especially with a sniper rifle. And you can see up there at the top of the screen, such and such player is getting hot. That's basically saying, hey, that player's on a killing spree. You know, they've done a bunch of damage or killed a bunch of people in a row. Now, the one issue that I do have with the multiplayer as a whole is that you can customize how your character looks, but at a distance, since the outfits are all pretty much white, it becomes a little bit difficult to distinguish friend from foe without actually seeing their name pop up over their head. So once we finish with this match, that was some sort of grenade launcher, it would appear. Once we finish this match, we'll go ahead and check out the 8v8 map, Observatory. I'm not as much a fan of that map as I am of this one, but here you can see at the end you get a series of awards, so most assists, damage dealer, and winner for winning the match. You also do get a small amount of XP, and you get one of the key codes. And then by hitting continue, you can see the leaderboards, which I was pretty much at the bottom of for my team. And when you close out of this, you'll be taken pretty much back to where you were in the world, and you can go ahead and queue up for another match. So as I said, next we're going to take a look at Observatory. I'm not such a big fan of this map as opposed to Waterfront. And you can see a little bit of a glitch there with the head model for the character. Things are starting to pop back in. But this time, instead of using the matchmaking menu, we're going to use our quick menu. So right on the D-pad opens the quick menu. You can tab up to matchmaking. There's all of your different game types right there. Competitive, Observatory, and join. And we are back loading into a match on Observatory. So we can get a look at the map in action. We've already got our loadout set. As you can see down at the bottom, match begins in 10 seconds, so we're just waiting for that before we can spawn in. And now that we've spawned in, let's go ahead and see how this plays out. As I said, not as much of a fan of this map as the other one. And we'll see if everybody kind of groups around this building like they did last time. Now, once again, verticality on the map. You can get up on top of this building if you want to be a sniper. So that's always helpful. You can see we've got enemies over here. And as you can also see, there are multiple pathways to get up onto this roof. So it's not a matter of, well, the sniper gets on the rooftop and unless you can counter-snipe him or possibly hit him with a rocket, you'll never get him off of there. No, there's, aside from the ladder, it would look like 2 other paths, possibly more, to get up on top of this rooftop. So we're going to see if we can't sneak up on this guy. And if I can actually hit him, we might manage to get a kill here. And that's no dice. He actually killed me with a melee strike. So there you see the blur ability in action with the speed boost. You do get those little not so much kill cams, but you see where your enemy's headed after you die. It's a little follow cam. I say these two maps are exclusively deathmatch. There's nothing else you can do here as of yet. Hopefully they'll add some possibly capture the flag type game modes or something of that nature. And I say this map is not particularly bad, I just prefer the other one. Set myself on fire there, that's always good. You see there are still a couple of issues, somebody clipping through a wall there. So once this match is over, we'll go and we'll take a look at the ground war game mode, which is really the most interesting of things. There you can see a rescue kill. That's your basic. Your teammate was getting shot. You managed to get a kill that most likely saved his life. Now, one thing I will say about this multiplayer that I do enjoy, or about this PvP, in fact, that I do enjoy, is the fact that unlike some games where it's 1 or 2 bullets will kill you, you can take a decent amount of shots before you actually go down, which, in my mind, means that the player who has more actual skill at the game, the person who can turn around and, land that last-second headshot, is going to be the one who's going to win most of the gunfights. That I like. I prefer that style of game versus, say, the 1 or 2 shot kills that you get in like a Counter-Strike or a Call of Duty Hardcore. And I believe this match, the 8v8, actually goes to 50 kills, not the 25 that I had stated earlier. As you can see up at the top, you've got the score counter, 22 to 26. Go ahead and throw a grenade down there, see if we can't set that person on fire, and grab an assist. So you can see all of the things that you can do in the regular campaign, you can do here, aside from you cannot spawn vehicles in the regular competitive 6v6 or 8v8. You can spawn vehicles in the Shadow War. And there's me dead again. So, not a whole lot else to say about the regular deathmatch multiplayer. It's fun, but with only the 2 maps, I worry about its longevity. Hopefully they'll add in some more maps and game modes as time goes on. There's no real reason for them not to do so. After all, it is a massive multiplayer online game. So more PvP arenas should be coming in the future. And when they do come out, we will take a look at them on this channel and get an idea of the layout of those, and with those layouts maybe you can kind of come up with your own tactics for how you would want to play the map. So at this point we're going to go ahead and cut, and in just a moment we'll be back to take a look at the Shadow War mode. And as you can see, we are back. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see deploying in 6 seconds to Shadow War. Now, Shadow War is a 32 versus 32 large-scale battle, much in the same vein as the matches you'll find in the Battlefield games, with multiple capture points around the map. But what makes Shadow War a bit unique is that these take place on the same maps that you play through when you're playing through the normal campaign. So what that ends up meaning is, along with the enemy team, you also have to face off against the regular enemy AI that is scattered around the map. And the other thing you may have noticed is down in the bottom left-hand corner, we do actually have the ability to summon our vehicle here. So we can use that to get around the map a little bit quicker. Now, there are only 3 capture points up right now, but more of them spawn as the match goes on. I have seen up to 6 before. I don't know if it goes any higher than that. And you can see all of the little markers around here on the minimap and on the heads-up display. Those are all teammates. There you can see a 4th capture point has spawned down this way. So we're going to head on down there, follow these guys, and see if we can't take that and maybe set up a defensive position. And up at the top there, you can see actually a 5th one has spawned. So there's a lot of tactical elements that can go into this when you have this many players fighting over this many locations. There you can see there we are, one of the regular AI enemies. So, aside from those minor differences, Shadow War plays pretty much the same as the regular death matches. However, it is a capture mode, so all of your score is based off of how many of these points your team is holding at any given time. And also, interestingly enough, in the multiplayer, there's no revive system like there is in the single player. So there you see you have your deployment points. These are the points we currently control. Also, you will see there will be pop up in that menu the Cerberus vehicle. Now, the Cerberus, if I understand correctly, because I have yet to actually get into one, is a 3-man vehicle where you have one driver, one person in the passenger seat who has a rocket launcher, and one person in the back of the vehicle on a turret-style weapon. So we'll head on down here, try and get the capture here, and then perhaps we'll try and hold this position and keep the enemy from taking it. Now there you can see we've captured that point. So all in all, the PvP is really nothing new. It's nothing you haven't played in any other shooter before. I mean, you have your basic death matches, and you also have your kind of capture mode. But realistically, the Shadow War mode is the most interesting of the bunch, because you know, in regular deathmatch, it's the same thing you've played in every other game, from Call of Duty to Halo, so on and so forth. Whereas this, while it is similar to Battlefield, still having the enemy AI in there does make things interesting. And there you can see some of the mutants dropping in from a helicopter, so those are actually AI-controlled enemies, but they happen to be dropping in right on the capture point, so if the other team shows up over here, this can end up in a very interesting little 3-way battle. Now, as you can see, this game mode is a little bit more conducive to long-range combat than the previous deathmatch modes, just because of the scale of the map, how large it is. And once again, this is the same map that you play on in the regular game, so forgot to switch weapons. So, all in all, the PvP is nothing really special. Shadow War's pretty cool. The deathmatch is your standard fair deathmatch, and managed to kill myself with a grenade. So if you're looking at this game for a strictly PvP experience, I wouldn't say that that would be the way to go. Now, if you're looking at PvP as just one of the aspects of the overall game, it's a fun diversion, and while the deathmatch isn't terribly interesting, the Shadow War mode really makes up for it with these large-scale battles. It's something that really hasn't been done very much on consoles. I know PC, you have games like Battlefield have these larger-scale battles. On the 360 and PS3, they're scaled back. As you see there, once again, still a few launch week issues, as would be expected. So, would I recommend this game strictly for the PvP? No, absolutely not. Would I recommend this game as a whole with everything that's contained in it? Absolutely. Now, as I stated in a previous video, I would wait and see if all of the bugs and whatnot get worked out, but as it is right now, they seem to be taking care of those things on a fairly regular basis. They actually did a server update just today, and the game's only been out for 2 days. So it would appear, at least early on, they're very much supporting the title and trying to get everything worked out as early as possible. So, that having been said, I'm going to go ahead and finish my match of Shadow War. And in the meantime, as always, I have been your host, Jeffrey Lazarus, and thank you for watching The Gaming Vector.